Let's stop and think, my people. Long ago in the land of Canaan, there lived a man named Jacob, also called Israel. He had 12 sons, but he loved Joseph more than all the others because Joseph was the son of his old age, born to him by his beloved wife Rachel. To show his special affection, Jacob gave Joseph a beautiful coat of many colors, a gift that stirred jealousy and bitterness in the hearts of his older brothers. Joseph was just 17, young and full of dreams. Quite literally, he dreamed strange, vivid dreams and was bold enough to share them. "Listen to this dream I had," he once told his brothers. "We were binding sheaves of grain in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, and your sheaves gathered around and bowed down to mine. That did not go well. Do you intend to reign over us?" They snapped, their envy turning to hate. Another time he said, "I had another dream. This time, the sun and moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." Even his father rebuked him gently. "Will your mother and I and your brothers actually bow down to you?" Though Jacob corrected Joseph, he quietly pondered what the dreams could mean. Betrayed by blood. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers who were tending sheep far from home. As Joseph approached, wearing his colorful coat, the brothers saw him from a distance and their hatred boiled over. "Here comes the dreamer," they sneered. "Let's kill him and throw him into a pit. We'll say a wild animal devoured him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams." Reuben, the eldest, spoke up. "Don't shed his blood. Throw him into this pit in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him." Reuben secretly planned to rescue Joseph later and bring him home. So when Joseph arrived, they stripped off his coat and threw him into a dry, empty pit. Then they sat down to eat, unmoved by his cries. As they ate, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelite traders heading to Egypt. Judah, one of the brothers, had an idea. "What will we gain if we kill our brother? Let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. After all, he is our brother." Answer: for 20 pieces of silver, they sold Joseph. When Reuben returned and found the pit empty, he tore his clothes in despair. The brothers took Joseph's coat, dipped it in goat's blood, and brought it to Jacob. "Do you recognize this?" they asked. Jacob wept bitterly, believing his beloved son had been torn apart by a wild beast. "I will mourn for my son until I join him in the grave," he cried. A slave in Egypt. Meanwhile, Joseph was taken to Egypt and sold to Potiphar, captain of Pharaoh's guard. Though he was a slave, the Lord was with Joseph, and he found favor in Potiphar's eyes. Soon, he was made overseer of Potiphar's household. Joseph worked with excellence, but trouble came again. Potiphar's wife found him handsome and tried to seduce him day after day. "Come lie with me," she whispered, but Joseph refused. "How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" One day, when no one else was in the house, she grabbed his cloak and begged again. Joseph fled, leaving the cloak behind. Humiliated and furious, she lied to her husband. "That Hebrew slave tried to violate me," she said, holding up the cloak as evidence. Potiphar was enraged. Though he may have doubted his wife's story, he had Joseph thrown into prison. Even there, the Lord was with Joseph. He found favor with the prison warden, who put him in charge of the other prisoners. Dreams in the darkness. While in prison, Joseph met 2 of Pharaoh's former servants, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, who had each offended the king and been imprisoned. One night, both men had troubling dreams. "We had dreams," they told Joseph, "but there's no one to interpret them." "Interpretations belong to God," Joseph said. "Tell me your dreams." The cupbearer said, "In my dream, I saw a vine with 3 branches. It budded, blossomed, and its clusters ripened into grapes. I took the grapes, squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and placed the cup in his hand." Joseph smiled. "The 3 branches are 3 days. In 3 days, Pharaoh will restore you to your position. Please remember me when it goes well with you. Mention me to Pharaoh and help me get out of this place." The baker shared his dream. "I had 3 baskets of bread on my head. Birds were eating from the top basket." Joseph's face fell. "The 3 baskets are 3 days. In 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body. Birds will eat your flesh." 3 days later, Pharaoh celebrated his birthday and did just as Joseph said, restoring the cupbearer and executing the baker. But the cupbearer forgot Joseph. From prison to palace. 2 full years passed. Then Pharaoh had disturbing dreams. In one, 7 fat cows came out of the Nile, followed by 7 thin cows that devoured the fat ones. In another, 7 healthy heads of grain were swallowed by 7 thin, scorched ones. None of Pharaoh's magicians or wise men could interpret the dreams. At last, the cupbearer remembered Joseph. "There is a young Hebrew in prison who interpreted our dreams accurately," he told Pharaoh. Joseph was quickly summoned, shaved, and dressed. "I heard you can interpret dreams," Pharaoh said. "I cannot," Joseph replied, "but God will give Pharaoh the answer he seeks." Pharaoh told Joseph the dreams. Joseph explained, "God is revealing what he is about to do. The 7 good cows and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years of abundance. The 7 thin cows and withered grain are 7 years of famine. God has shown you twice, meaning it is firmly decided. Store food during the good years to survive the famine." Pharaoh was impressed. "Can we find anyone like this man, in whom is the Spirit of God?" And just like that, Joseph was lifted from prison to palace. Pharaoh made him second in command over Egypt, giving him his signet ring, royal robes, and authority over the land. A reunion of tears. Joseph managed the storage of grain during the 7 years of plenty. When famine struck, it spread far, even to Canaan. Jacob sent his sons, except Benjamin, to Egypt to buy food. When they arrived, they bowed before the Egyptian governor, not realizing it was Joseph. Joseph recognized them, but he did not reveal himself. He tested them, accusing them of being spies. He kept Simeon as a hostage and told them to return with the youngest brother to prove their honesty. They returned with Benjamin, and Joseph's heart was torn. He saw his brother and wept privately. Later, he arranged a final test, planting his silver cup in Benjamin's sack and accusing him of theft. When the brothers pleaded for Benjamin, especially Judah, who offered to take his place, Joseph could no longer hold back. He sent everyone away and wept loudly. "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" The brothers were speechless, terrified. "Do not be afraid," Joseph said gently. "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to save many lives. It was not you who sent me here, but God." He embraced them, wept with them, and sent for Jacob. Restoration and legacy. Jacob came to Egypt with all his family, 70 in total, and was reunited with Joseph after many years of sorrow. He said, "Now I can die in peace, for I have seen your face again." Joseph provided for his family during the famine. Years later, when Jacob died, the brothers feared Joseph would take revenge. But Joseph reassured them, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Joseph lived to see his children's children. Before his death, he told them, "God will surely come to your aid and take you out of this land to the land he promised." He made them promise to carry his bones back to Canaan when the time came. And so the story of Joseph ends, a tale of betrayal and redemption, sorrow and joy, a young dreamer who became the savior of nations. Through every twist, God's hand was at work, guiding the dream to its divine fulfillment. Thank for watching Tellies by Dan Sophia.